Like they call it the doghouse.
Okay, UFC 291 in Utah. Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier for the BMF belt, as well as Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz in the light heavyweight division, with Alex Pereira making his light heavyweight debut, as well as Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Michel Pereira, and Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland. Very, very fun card, this one. Without a doubt, I think the best UFC card of the year so far. First thing to note, I don't know what Einstein decided to put the biggest fight of the year for boxing on the same night as the best UFC card of the year. As a fan of both, not complaining, but I would rather. Can you just put one of them on a Sunday instead, or do something different? You know, you can put UFC on a Sunday, or put Spencer Crawford on a Sunday, even though I think most people will be rather that on a Saturday. It's a great night for combat sport, but I just wish it was just another date, or not another date, but just another day, and just so we don't have to digest so much at once. But I don't complain. It's still a great card. An amazing main event. Utah, we all know how the elevation was last time with Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, with Edwards gassing out rapidly, and we saw this how much of an effect this had on Edwards, because in the second fight in London, or the third fight in London, Edwards was fine, no problem. And I think same thing with Luke Rockhold and Paulo Costa. The altitude hurts you, and with two guys in Justin Gaethje and Poirier who are relatively decent cardio, but they have tendencies to gas out. We've seen them both be tired in there. Proves to be a very, very exciting setting, I think. And for Jan Blachowicz and Pereira has only ever really gassed out once. I can really feel in the UFC, and that was against Adesanya. I would say the first MMA fight they had, where he kind of tired. You could kind of see in the fourth round, but Adesanya obviously wasn't able to really put it on him enough for him to completely gas out. We also saw happened the second time, obviously. And yeah, good card though, this one. Prelims, Derek Lewis fighting Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, and Jake Matthews and Darius Flowers. An early prelims, again, nothing crazy. We're not many fights really that take your mind, but the main ones obviously are on the main card. Paulo Costa was supposed to be fighting against Ilkram Askarov, but obviously the fight has now been cancelled. And yeah, I'm interested in this. Is still a great card. I mean, the two fights I think most people are looking forward to are the main event and the co-main. And you know, one good thing about this card is it's going to sound stupid because there are repercussions for the divisions in this one, but I kind of like how fun this card is. You know, there's no real beef between any fighters. There's just great matchups all around. BMF belt, it's a fun little thing. You know, they had a press conference today, and they had Masvidal between Gaethje and Poirier. There's no real beef between Gaethje and Masvidal. You know, Masvidal obviously is a teammate of Poirier's at American Top Team. So, yeah, a nice card though, this one. And Blachowicz and Pereira, both respectful guys. Wonderboy, we all know, is really cool. Yeah, great card though, this one. What I'm going to do is go through the Tony Ferguson Bobby Green fight, the co-main event, and the main event, because as far as the other ones go, I think Kevin Holland will get it done against Chiesa. I feel like his striking will be enough to get him the decision. I don't think Chiesa can really stand with him, and jiu-jitsu wise he's got the advantage, but I don't think it's enough. And Pereira and Wonderboy, I feel like Wonderboy will do enough. Pereira's so exciting to watch, Michel Pereira, but I don't think he's got the I don't think he's at the level to beat Wonderboy, but I could be wrong, because Wonderboy has had moments where he drops off. But I think he should get the decision this one, Wonderboy. And you know, bit of a gatekeeper now, Wonderboy, but we respect him. You know, he's still an exciting fighter, still one of the best personalities in the sport today, so God bless him. But we start off with Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green. For Tony Ferguson, has been on a crazy losing streak, unfortunately, recently. He's obviously got submitted in his last fight by Nate Diaz. Before that, got dominated by got knocked out by Michael Chandler, and then got dominated by Benny Dariush, as well as getting dominated by Charles Oliveira and getting beaten by Justin Gaethje. Rough time for Tony Ferguson, and unfortunately he's kind of come out of that Khabib, Conor and Tony Ferguson trio as the third place one, because Khabib retired undefeated, greatest lightweight of all time, one of the legends of the sport. Conor is the biggest star in this sports history, and he's chilling, doing whatever he's doing. And Tony really hasn't got much out of it, unfortunately. He didn't get a belt. He got the interim belt, but wasn't able to really fight for the undisputed title. And I feel for him, but unfortunately, it's just how sport is, and he's obviously getting older now. Bobby Green, solid vet, very good boxing. I think he's one of them. 36 now, Bobby Green, so he's getting on it obviously as well. His last fight, Bobby Green, obviously he got to the defeat against Drew Dober. Before that, fought Makhachev, lost. Before that, beat Nasrat with a very good performance, and then obviously it's only like 10 days later or something more, maybe a little bit more, that he then fought Islam, and he didn't really do anything against Makhachev, as many people didn't expect him to. He got the win pretty easily, Makhachev, and I like Bobby Green. He's a interesting personality at times. Not the greatest of fighters, decent boxing though, and I think he'll definitely cause Tony Ferguson problems, because I think Ferguson struggles with guys who have boxing. However, I have this theory in life that eventually it's got to count, right? Something has to give. You do something so many times, eventually you're going to get it right. Tony Ferguson has fought so many times. He's been getting it wrong a lot recently. Surely now he's going to get this one. I don't think Bobby Green is better than Oliveira or better than Dariush or Chandler. Even Nate Diaz, I think it's close between those two. So, and he didn't perform that good against Nate either. I think Tony really... There's a term in Hollywood they use for actors when they kind of phone it in, and it felt like it's what he was doing in that fight. He didn't perform terribly, but it just wasn't the Tony Ferguson we used to, so it wasn't great. However, I think Tony Ferguson will get a submission victory. I feel he'll get Bobby Green down in the second round. I think he'll get his long limbs around him, and I think he'll get him in I want to say a triangle choke. I feel like this would be a big one, a little bit like how Robbie Lawler went out in his last fight. I feel like Tony Ferguson will get a big win, and in my opinion, I don't know if he'll do it, because Tony Ferguson loves to fight, loves the competition, but at 39 I think he should call it a day, but we'll see what happens. I think Ferguson gets this one done though. And then going into the co-main event, Jan Blachowicz, Alex Pereira. Obviously for Pereira, his last fight obviously was the knockout defeat to Israel Adesanya, in which he lost his middleweight belt, and he's now making his debut at light heavyweight. Yes, Jan Blachowicz, who's now 40 years old, so getting on is Jan. His last fight, he got the the draw against Magomed Ankalaev, and I feel it was a very close fight, but I think Ankalaev definitely should have won the fight. Before that, got the win against Rakic, which Rakic's leg gave out, but he was getting beat regardless, Rakic. And Jan Blachowicz definitely got a good mix of grappling and striking, and because of the Adesanya thing, people may look at that as a way that he could get it done. I think Blachowicz definitely has still so much to give. He didn't perform anywhere near his level against Glover, and I think because of that, I'd like to see how he does in this fight, how much, if he can get that belt back. Once again, the light heavyweight belt is vacant because obviously Jamal Hill was got the injury and had to vacate it, but this belt is it's a weird situation now. We obviously had Yuri winning it, but he vacated, and now Jamal's vacated it. I wouldn't mind if this fight was actually for the belt in general. I think the winner of this fight will 100% fight for the belt. I don't know who they're going to fight for it, because Yuri's still injured and Jamal Hill's not going to come back anytime soon. So, I don't know. Maybe they... and Glover's retired, so I don't really know what else they're going to do in the light heavyweight division. I personally think that this fight probably should be for the belt, because there's nobody else there. And Pereira is a former champion, so he has the credit there, but I don't know, weird one. But either way, the fight's interesting. I think Blachowicz's grappling obviously superior to Pereira's. Both powerful guys. I say Pereira's powerful, just a bit. He's a bit more of a hard hitter, Pereira, whereas Blachowicz is a very big puncher though. Fighter really cool who I think wins this fight. I think Pereira handles Blachowicz better than Adesanya, because I think Adesanya was physically nowhere near as big as Blachowicz, whereas Pereira's very big. And I think he's got very Underrated strength Pereira. I think he's very big and he can hold the takedowns off. And yeah, I'm going to say he knocks Blachowicz out. I do think he'll get it done. I'm going to say second round. I think Blachowicz is solid, but I just think, I don't know. I feel like Pereira could be. He just feels like he could get this one done. I feel with Pereira the fight is a good one for him. It's not a good one for his light heavyweight debut, but I feel like stylistically, I could see Pereira just picking him apart at range, and then Blachowicz. The difference with Adesanya can hit hard, but it's in a certain way. Pereira is naturally powerful, and I believe, in the little exchanges where Blachowicz will try to attack Pereira, will catch him with like a flying knee or something and just put him out cold. He has the explosiveness Pereira does over Blachowicz, and I had that over Adesanya as well, which is what makes him so dangerous. And in only a 3-round fight, I don't think he'll gas out that badly either. So, and I think his grappling would have improved a lot since the first MMA fight with Adesanya. So I'd imagine he'd be able to handle what Blachowicz has. Blachowicz is a good grappler, but he's not like an unbelievable grappler where you have to worry about it constantly for the whole fight. It's only if you haven't got the weight advantage that Adesanya had, or if you haven't got the grappling either. So that's where it's a worry. But you saw what Glover was able to do to Yan, and obviously Glover in Pereira's corner camp will help him out. So yeah, I'm gonna say that Poatan gets it done and gets back on the winning streak, and either you give him the belt now or you have him fight for him next, because either way I feel like it should happen, and that would set up a brilliant third fight with Adesanya, hopefully, if Adesanya can get through. Obviously Du Plessis is now injured, but whoever he gets next in the middleweight division. Then we have the main event. This is a big one, Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. For Justin Gaethje, last fight beat Rafael Fiziev, and for Dustin Poirier, last fight submitted Michael Chandler. Two big wins for both of these guys, two legends of the sport, two guys who leave it all in there. Gaethje, 24 wins, 4 losses. Poirier, 29 wins, 7 losses, and 1 no contest. And obviously Poirier fought Gaethje before and did get the win against him. And this was when Gaethje was fighting like a lunatic these days, and he did beat Poirier's legs up, and he was doing very well in the fight, Gaethje, but it's just the boxing of Dustin Poirier. He tends to break through these type of guys, these sort of solid Gaethjes, Chandlers, Eddie Alvarez's. I think his boxing is what makes it. The skill difference is what it is, and I think his boxing's always shone through. And I do think Justin Gaethje is different. He's a bit more calculated. But I do think Poirier's got the advantage in his skill. I think he's a lot more cleaner with his boxing, and he's big now, Poirier, as well. For how he's still making this weight, I don't know. But he's very, very big at the weight, and I do think it's I think Gaethje's more of a harder hitter, but I think Poirier's got more power, and I do think it's going to be an interesting one, especially at altitude, because if Gaethje fights like a lunatic, like he did against Oliveira, and swings, he's going to get knocked out within a round, maybe 2. If he fights more calculated, however, I don't know. I could see him beating Poirier. I've picked against Dustin the last few times. I picked against him against Oliveira, against Chandler, and he got the win. I think was it Oliveira the last one he beat? Yeah, I think Oliveira was the one I thought he would win that one. For Gaethje, I thought Fiziev would beat him, but he did get it done. Felt Gaethje would beat Oliveira, but he wasn't able to because I didn't think he fought very smart. And he says himself he hates watching that fight because how badly he fought. He's much better than he showed Gaethje. I think he just, for some reason, got very reckless. The difference is, I personally could see Poirier's chin finally giving out. At 155, he can take a shot, but I feel like now he's slowly starting to, I think, lose a little bit of that, the durability. And at 34, both guys are the same age. Poirier's a slight inch in reach, and Gaethje's a slight height advantage. But I think the leg kicks are going to be big for Gaethje, and I think if he can chop the body, Gaethje, it'd be a big one. I kind of felt like Gaethje would win that fight, but I don't know. The altitude could suit Dustin Poirier a lot better. But if Gaethje fights calculated, I think he wins this, and I do think he can get it done. But it just depends if he does. But I'm going to say that he does fight calculated in this one. Yeah, and I think he's got the skill as well, Gaethje. I think he's a better combination. He puts the combinations better than Dustin does. Dustin kind of throws his hands randomly at times, but because his boxing's quite well, his hand placement's very good. He always tends to land. But I don't I think he also has a bit more of a pop. Not pop, but like he's more powerful naturally. He's a very big guy, Dustin. On the ground, I think Poirier's got the advantage in terms of the jiu-jitsu, but the fact that Gaethje got a takedown in his last fight also shows he's trying to make a one last run at this title, and two legends of the sport. But if I had to put one, I'm going to say Gaethje gets this one done. I think he knocks him out. I do think he'll be a bit more calculated, and I think he'll catch Dustin. I think once he catches him, I think he'll follow through, and he'll do enough to get the win. And I don't think he'll be going crazy. I think he'll fight smart, and he's trained at altitude. He trained with Kamaru Usman, so I think he's used to this kind of setting. So I'm gonna say Justin Gaethje gets it done, and that would be a great fight. And then you hopefully could see him and Makhachev, which I think would be an interesting one, especially given Makhachev's last performance against Volkanovski, where he did look a little bit susceptible in his chin. So who knows? This lightweight division is shaping up nicely. It's one last hurrah for both of these guys. Both had 2 shots at the belt. Both thought Khabib lost. Both thought Oliveira lost. So now we're going to see if whoever wins, because I think whoever wins will get the winner of Oliveira and Makhachev too. But I'd imagine Makhachev would beat Oliveira again, to be honest. But I don't really see what either guy does to Makhachev at the moment. But because of how susceptible Makhachev looked against Volkanovski, who knows, maybe... I know these guys aren't on the level of Volkanovski, but maybe they could do something and take some encouragement from that. But yeah, such a great card though. It's a shame it's on the same night as Spence and Crawford, but either way, it's an excellent card. I'll do a review after the fights, see if any of them stand out. Tony Ferguson, I think, gets a the triangle choke over Bobby Green. I think Poatan gets a knockout, and I think Justin Gaethje will knock out Dustin Poirier. I want to say second round on that one as well. Maybe I should go third. Actually, no, I'll go third round. I feel like it'll be a bit more tighter in the first 2 rounds. It'll be a very close fight, that one. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. It's such an intriguing matchup. I would watch those 2 fight every day of the week. It's such a great fight. But yeah, Poirier Gaethje BMF bout. We're going to have a new BMF in the UFC. They brought the belt back. We'll see what happens. UFC 291. Do a preview after. And yeah, until next time.